Good afternoon. My name is Damian, and today I will be discussing the history of toilet paper and its alternatives. As with most things, paper was invented by the Chinese back in the 1st or 2nd century using fibers from the bark of mulberry trees. It's only natural then, that the Chinese also invented toilet paper. In the 6th century, the first mention of paper being used for toilet purposes was made by a Chinese court official who wrote, "Paper on which there are quotations or commentaries from the 5 classics, I dare not use for toilet purposes." Of course, he wrote this in Chinese, not English, so there's probably been a lot of room for errors to accumulate during translation, much like the game Chinese Whispers. As an example, if I translate this quote back into Chinese, then into Russian, and then back into Chinese, and then finally into English, the following quote is produced. Pages that contain passages or criticisms from the 5 prototypes, I do not gamble their use for potty missions, purple monkey, dishwasher. However, for most of human history, toilet paper simply didn't exist. Early hominids would simply not use anything. They'd defecate in the forest and then leave the mess for somebody else to discover. As people started to form societies though, it became more and more important to clean up one's backside. It was hard to impress the ladies if you stank of feces. The first documented method involved applying water to the posterior with one's hand. A person would simply defecate into a river, and wash their bottom with their hand. In colder climates, this wasn't possible as there was no flowing water. In these climates, people would use moss, or snow. During snowball fights, children were encouraged to use white snow against their friends, and brown snow against people from neighboring tribes. In other areas of the world where water wasn't so readily available, people would use leaves, grass, pine cones, ferns, bones, fruit skins, and even stones. One old saying used by the Wumba Wumba tribe was, "Bones are better than stones, but not pine cones, when on the throne." People in coastal regions often used seashells, or coconut. Although using coconut wasn't exactly comfortable, it did leave one's bottom smelling rather nice, sweet, and milky, with intensely tropical notes, mixed in with the smell of excrement. In ancient Rome, people would use a communal xylospongium or tersorium to wipe the behind. It essentially consisted of a sea sponge attached to the end of a stick. It was shared by people in public latrines and was washed between uses in a solution of salt or vinegar in water. Understandably, this was a bacterial breeding ground, causing the spread of disease throughout the empire. By the 14th century, the Chinese were mass-producing toilet paper with 1 million packets of toilet paper being produced in just one Chinese province. Each packet contained between 1,000 and 10,000 sheets. Europeans chose not to use toilet paper, with wealthy Europeans choosing to use cloth or hemp to clean themselves instead. Poor people were stuck using leaves, rags, or even their own hand. English monarchs would retain a so-called Groom of the Stool, who was responsible for assisting the king in excretion, and personal hygiene. Although the job was a rather smelly one, the Groom of the Stool was often feared and respected within the royal court as he was privy to the king's secrets. "Bow down to me, as I have touched the royal poop." In colonial America in the 17th and 18th centuries, colonists would commonly use discarded corncobs as a good way to clean their keisters. With the rise of newspaper publishing in the 1700s, corncobs were replaced with strips of newspaper. And in the 1800s, Americans would often use pages torn from periodicals and catalogs. The Old Farmer's Almanac even had a hole punched in the corner specifically to make it easy to hang on a hook in people's outhouses. It wasn't until 1857 that American inventor Joseph Gayetty first started producing commercial toilet paper. He named his hemp-based product, Gayetty's medicated paper, which was infused with aloe to act as a lubricant, and was watermarked J.C. Gayetty NY. People were literally wiping their bottoms with paper that had Mr. Gayetty's name on it. The paper was relatively cheap at 50 cents per 500 sheets. As most people were so accustomed to using free catalogs, they didn't see the need to pay for such a product. Furthermore, talking about such topics was seen as taboo, and no self-respecting American would walk into a store and ask for a product designed to wipe away one's excrement. It wasn't until 1890 that the Scott Paper Company began marketing toilet paper dispensed from rolls. Toilet paper went through a long period of refinement, considering that even in the 1930s, the Northern Tissue Company marketed their toilet paper as being splinter-free. Nowadays, of course, we have 2-ply, 3-ply, 4-ply, and even 5-ply toilet paper with decorative patterns and perfume on it. Gone are the days of using a cold river, a coconut husk, or a sponge on a stick. I can imagine a day when toilet paper reaches 10-ply, smells like roses, automatically dispenses itself, and plays elevator music as you wipe your own ass. I don't know about you, but that's my dream of heaven.
Hi guys, this is Eddie. If you want to help out Australians like myself get plenty of 4-ply perfumed toilet paper with patterns of butterflies on it, the best thing you can do is subscribe to this channel. Cheers, mate.